This is a story I've already talked about, so this is a major update. And one of the reasons I really wanted to do this because I've been trying to tell people, I try to be careful about speaking on things that I don't know about. And I know people, a lot of times, they're like, Jay, you wasn't there. Yous don't know what you's talking about. You just speaking out the side of your neck. Well, in this story, if you go back and watch my original commentary, I might have to post a link in there so you guys can find it. I was absolutely right about what I said that this man had as far as his encounter with this young lady that you guys just saw on my screen. So I'm getting ready to excoriate this character that you guys see on my screen. But before we get into the details, this might be your first time here. Let me give you a disclaimer. Some viewers may find the following content offensive and controversial. The information in this video comes from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, news web articles, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to use this story as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like these to children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer. And our source is a unique source. I've never used this website. It's called harriscountyda.com. So if you guys are listening, thank you for the article. So Texas is taking an L. Harris County is taking an L. It's basically kind of the greater area of Houston, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong, I'll correct it later. But I think that's correct. He said I'm correct, so we good to go. A 62-year-old fool, alleged man, excuse me. That was a Freudian slip. From Humble was sentenced late Thursday to life in prison without parole for killing his girlfriend's teenage daughter while attempting to rape her. Do I need to read that again? I think I do, because I remember a lot of people, go back and look at the comment section, that told me I didn't know what I was talking about with this story. That was the thumbnail. Let me see if I can go back for a second so y'all can see that thumbnail again. Find that video on my channel, because I called this out. And guess what? A year and some months later, I was not wrong. I don't have to retract a thing because I speak about what I know. Because guess what? I've been black for what? 42 years, 42 and a half years, 41 years. I've been black for a long time. And so when I see these things, they're just elements that I understand that go along with, oh God, I was getting ready to say the word. I'm trying not to cuss. I'm trying to be a good boy. Hold on. That goes with this BS behavior, okay? Now, this man raped his girlfriend of 5 years' daughter. So how did we get there? This is according to Harris County District Attorney Kim Ogg. This defendant was a predator with a gun, and his choice to hurt a young girl and take her life was senseless and horrific. He not only took a promising young woman's life, his actions have destroyed a family. Van Henry Brisbane, Brisbon, that is the dude's name. This is a beautiful little angel, man. And I hate that she lost her life to this goddamn fool right here. I really hate that. Beautiful young girl, could have grown up to become anything. And y'all have to remember that I'm a father, and my daughter is just, let me see, 1 year older than her. 1 year older, no, a couple years older than this young lady, now that I think about it, because she was 16. Van Henry Brisbane was convicted of capital murder, and you know, usually with a capital murder charge, that usually results in the death penalty, if nothing else, life with no parole, by a Harris County jury for killing 16-year-old Lauren Juma at their home in Humble just after 1 a.m. on April the 29th of 2022. That's how long ago this was. So this was almost 2 years ago, actually. No, yeah, this is more than 2 years ago. That's more than 2 years ago. So, yeah, I spoke on this right when it happened. So this is a while ago. So Lauren, who was a student at Nimitz High School, was at home alone with Brisbane when she FaceTimed her mother and sister to tell them that mom's boyfriend, Brisbane, was acting quote-unquote weird. Her mother, who was out of town for work, sent Lauren's older sister to the house to pick up the teen. When the sister arrived, Brisbane was holding Lauren against her will with a gun. Deputies with the Harris County Sheriff's Office also arrived and heard gunshots coming from inside the house. Brisbane then came outside and was arrested. Lauren had been killed with a 9mm handgun that was found inside the house. Investigators also found evidence that Brisbane was attempting to rape the teen. Now, I don't know if they're going to say this in this article. They basically found this SOB with his pants down, and they found the girl with her pants off. Just so y'all know. I remember reading that from a previous article. During the 9-day trial, jurors listened to testimony and saw evidence about what happened that night and then convicted Briskman of capital murder. He was automatically sentenced to life in prison without parole. Assistant District Attorney Attorney Katie Warren, who is a division chief in the DA's office, prosecuted the case with ADA Gina Gilmore, a chief in trial bureau. Our jury heard body cam recordings of the victim's screams, cries for help, and then gunshots. So they just didn't get there in time, which were not easy to listen to. We are thankful for the jurors and their service in the verdict because they were able to do what needed to be done. They gave this victim and her family justice. Briskman will never be eligible for parole or release from prison. I want to do something because what I did was I found my old video. And I just want to tell the people who was really trying to come at me. It's funny how they won't come at people who do stuff like this. They will get mad at me and send me emails threaten to do stuff to me behind my opinion about what these rapists and pedophiles and hebophiles are doing to these innocent little kids. But I want y'all to hear what I actually originally had to say. But before we get into the details, let me give you guys the fair usage, and then I'll let y'all hear what I actually said originally. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. And I forgot to put the date on here, but if y'all can go back and find this video, you can see this is, like I said, roughly about 2 years ago, but listen to what I had to say, and then we'll watch the news videos. So this is about 8 minutes. It's a little bit long, but I trimmed it down from half an hour. So this was almost 30 minutes long of commentary, but here's what I had to say. Lauren and Briskman were the only two people in the residence at the time of this murder. That's a big-ass red flag to me, in my opinion. It's a huge red flag. A motive for the murder is unknown at the time, but that's why DJ Just J is here, because I'm actually going to give you guys the motive. Do y'all want me to tell y'all what happened? Because some people, I've actually watched people post comments early on when I was looking on Facebook, and people tend to say, well, maybe she was misbehaving, and he was trying to punish her, and things got out of hand. There's a lot of scenarios that you could potentially point to, except for one thing, and as a father, it's the thing that I caught that come to find out, I think it's going to be proven true in court. Investigators asked for a sexual assault test to be performed on Lauren. Why would they need a sexual assault test? Why would they need that? Based on the evidence found at the scene, investigators believed that she was raped before she was killed. Mom's boyfriend. Deputies found Lauren with her pants down to her knees. Jesus. With multiple gunshot wounds, according to court records. Not my words. That's according to Click 2 Houston reports. Get mad at them if you feel like I'm putting out false information. Briskman's pants were also down when deputies arrested him, according to court records. Lauren's mother had been in a relationship with Briskman for 5 years. And the mother says that she's shocked that he allegedly killed her daughter. Boy, mama's living in the clouds. She said that she's shocked by this. He treated Lauren like she was his baby, according to her. I believe, in my humble opinion, no pun intended, humble Texas, y'all take the L too, but mom is naive, very naive, to think that she can be in a relationship with this man. I'm assuming that the mom, with him being 60, I'm assuming he's probably about 20 years older than her. Mom is over the hill. Mom is probably closer to about 40 years old, right? Mom is going to not be as tight in the midsection, in the legs, in the arms, maybe even in the face. Mom might have a few wrinkles. I'm not making fun of the mom. What I'm doing is trying to paint a contrast between a mother and a child. In this pervert's eyes, he might look at it and say initially he was attracted to the mother. And then he realized after 5 years of being around this woman, oh dang, your daughter looks not only just like you, but she actually looks better than you. She's young, she's untainted, she's fresh. And he got hella curious. Brace yourselves for this one. If you ask me, and the reason why I say the mom is naive, I don't think this is the first time that the mom has ever left her daughter in the custody of him by himself. I think this has probably been an ongoing thing. What does the mom do for a living? Does she have a real good job? Because it looks like they live in a really good neighborhood. So I'm assuming that the mom probably works a lot. What does he do for a living? We don't know. They haven't said anything as far as like what his career path is. It seems like, I could be wrong, but it seems like he was living in her house. It seems like this fool had a lot of free time on his hands. There's some other details in this story that I don't really want to repeat right now, but I'm telling you guys, this is definitely not the first time and only time he's ever done this. I can almost guarantee you this man has been curious. Thank you. Somebody in the chat said it. It's been an ongoing thing. I believe it. I think he's been doing this. I think he finally got caught up in this situation, molesting this child, assaulting this child, and he felt like he was about to get told on when she FaceTimed her mom and said, hey, I need you to come get me. He's like, it's over. I'm busted. And maybe if I end her life, maybe they won't find out what ultimately led up to this, and then I can write the narrative. Because dead people can't tell stories, right? So he assumed that if she's dead, then maybe she can't tell what's been going on with this man for the past 5 years up until this point. Being a molester, being a chester, being a pedo, being a hebephile, thank you. It's not something you just wake up and do. You don't wake up and just be a nasty ass son of a bitch. That's who you are. This is who the mother brought around her kids. These are not his kids. I continue to say, because I don't know any better way to say this, that these mothers continue to put their personal desires over protecting their children. I'm going to tell you guys this, and this is probably going to sound really messed up. This dude's eyeballs are looking in this direction and this direction. If you look at that picture right there, two different directions. And I personally believe that if your eyes go like this and go like that at the same time, and if you have jaundiced eyes, you shouldn't probably be around kids or shouldn't be a babysitter. I don't think people that have jaundiced eyes should be babysitting kids. Matter of fact, as old as this girl is, there's no reason he should have ever been left at home alone with her. Makes me wonder what the biological father had to say about this. I don't know if the mother has ever said anything, but there was no reason why, if she has to go out of town for work, tell the dad to come pick up his daughter. Every time. I would have never left my baby around no grown-ass man.
Humble man has been sentenced to life in prison for killing his girlfriend's daughter. The Harris County District Attorney says Van Brisbane was...
I got to take a pause on that real quick. Just so y'all understand, all of that stuff that I was early on, 2.5 years later, come to find out I was right. Couple of news stories. I'm going to skip through these.
Convicted of capital murder for killing 16-year-old Lauren Juma at their home in Humble in 2022.
And if y'all are listening, if y'all agree, please hit that thumbs up. Please, please, please share this, okay? Hit that thumbs up.
2. Brisbane is not eligible for parole.
Bond is now increased to $2 million for the man accused of killing his girlfriend's 16-year-old daughter Friday. Van Brisbane is charged in the death of Nimitz High School sophomore Lauren Juma. And tonight, we're learning more disturbing details about the crime following Brisbane's court appearance today. Aniele Ruiz is here to walk us through what happened. Aniele, we understand there could even be some changes to his charges.
That's right. It all depends on the evidence that investigators gather, but we do know that so far, as of today, his bond was increased from $1 million to $2 million. It was an emotional hearing for family members of 16-year-old Lauren Juma and also for family members of her alleged killer. Monday morning was 60-year-old Van Brisbane's first court appearance after he was charged with murdering Lauren.
I love my uncle to death. I swear I do, but I will never be able to understand how he did something like this to Lauren.
That was Brisbane's niece. She was wailing inside the courtroom during his hearing, and a bailiff had to ask her to step outside. But the details of this case were very graphic to hear. Prosecutors said on Friday Juma was found dead with her clothes in disarray. They go on to say that Brisbane was seen pulling up and adjusting his pants while coming out of their home after 2 shots were heard. Investigators say Lauren was on the phone with her mom and her sister prior to her death and said she woke up to Brisbane standing in the dark room acting weird. Prosecutors asking for a higher bond amount.
Asked for $2 million. And the judge granted it.
One thing his family made very clear, even though they're his blood relatives, they're supporting Lauren and her family.
People have to be accountable for their actions. If we don't hold people accountable for the things that they do wrong, then people will continue to do wrong.
His niece had this shirt made that says, "Here for Lauren," and she doesn't know how this could have happened.
How he could take her life from her, I can never understand it.
Wolford, W-O-L-F-F-O-R-D, Harris County Sheriff's Office Homicide Unit.
New this morning, the Harris County District Attorney says an Humble man is now sentenced to life in prison for killing his girlfriend's daughter. Van Brisbane was convicted of capital murder for killing 16-year-old Lauren Juma at their home in Humble back in 2022. She was a student at Nimitz High School. Now Brisbane will never be eligible for parole or released from prison.
Ladies and gentlemen, so again, for as many views as we have on this channel, it lets me know that people are watching, people are listening, especially in the state of Texas, if nowhere else. Why do people ignore this as if they're going to be the exception? But you know, that's the funny thing about women in general, not all. Please don't get your panties in a bunch. But the funny thing about women is they always think that they're the goddamn exception. They think, well, they ain't gonna be me. They ain't gonna be my kid until it is, until there's a situation like this. But again, it makes me upset that this continues to happen when you know that you have biological fathers. I'd almost rather take the chance, knowing that statistics say that men do very well with their children when given an opportunity. Especially for single fathers. Statistically, they do great with their kids. So why is it that we fight so hard about not letting kids be with their biological parents, but you'll, in a heartbeat, oh, I trust my boyfriend, y'all. That's a good man right there, y'all. Y'all see his face? You can tell in his face, that's a good man. He been a good man for 60 years, y'all. Until he's not, until he gets caught. But why even take the chance? Why not take the chance on the DNA tie to this girl? And you fight that tooth and nail. Like even most men who had their children outside of wedlock, who maybe have gone through a divorce. A lot of us children are born, especially in the black community, children are born out of wedlock at an 80% rate, and that number is probably a little bit higher than that. The majority of kids are born outside of wedlock, so most of us men understand what that's like to not have unfettered access to your own freaking kids. And it's so funny that these men, you won't even go get a background check on to just check their history. You won't even do your due diligence. And the children end up suffering. Why is it that we continue, like I said 2.5 years ago, to put your personal pleasures before your kids, but you swear that you love your kids? I believe your actions, not your words. To Lauren, let me get this pedophile off my screen. Lauren, young princess, R.I.P. Again, ladies, shout out to the ladies and shout out to the good mothers. I know the people in our community and the AFC community. I know we got a lot of good parents out there. And thank you to those who actually donate and leave messages and tell me or even email me and say, Jay, I'm one of those good parents. I listen to your message. It's making a difference in my life and how I treat my kids. Thank you to you guys. Continue to spread that message so we can lessen the amount of this type of thing going on, okay? But until then, we're going to keep speaking on it and advocate for justice. All right? Maybe we'll get some... Let me not say that. I was about to say something that might get me flagged. Let me not say that. Thank y'all so much. Like, share, subscribe to the AFC podcast. Thank you. Now, this story is actually a long time coming. This is actually an update, so I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an update as to what's going on with this story. And I did this before. You can go back and watch it on the channel. It seems that everything I said about this story was also right. But before we get into the details, I'm going to give you a disclaimer because this might be your first time here. We're going to talk about Elijah. I don't know if it's Vu or View. So out of respect, if I call him Vu or View, if it's not correct, just bear with me. Some viewers may find the following content offensive and controversial. The information in this video comes from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, news web articles, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to use this story as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like these to children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer. Now, I'm actually going to use a source. It is courttv.com. So if they're listening, thank you for the article. I know they have a YouTube page, so you guys can shout them out there. So I'm reading from their article. This is an update. A Wisconsin mother and her boyfriend are facing additional charges after the body of 3-year-old Elijah View was found last month. So initially when we talked about this story, they didn't even know what this boy's dead body was. But thank goodness, because this is going to create a solid case. But they found his body, and just what he went through was flat out torture. On Friday, Katrina Bauer was granted a $400,000 cash bond, and her punk ass boyfriend Jesse Vang. Let me get him on the screen because he looks like a Jesse Vang. Like he looked like he needs to be in like one of those stereotypical blaxploitation movies, the little Chinese criminal. Believe it or not, I'm actually not what do you call that, stereotyping him? He's got a rap sheet that is long as shit too, just so y'all know. So I'm not stereotyping him for no reason. Jesse Vang was granted a $500,000 bond at their first hearing since the new charges were announced. They're due back in court Monday for an initial appearance. So this article came out on October the 21st. So that would be, said, ancient Chinese secrets. Dre the Dream, you better stop. Stop instigating, Dre. Bauer, the mother, is now facing charges of chronic neglect of a child resulting in death, neglecting a child, and resisting or obstructing an officer. Her boyfriend, Vang, is charged with physical abuse of a child, repeated acts causing death, hiding a corpse, and resisting or obstructing an officer, according to court documents obtained by Scripps News Green Bay. Bauer and Vang were previously arrested on multiple charges, including child neglect, after View was reported missing in February. And I think initially when this story came out, the boyfriend came up with some weird-ass cockamamie story that made no sense at all, right? But they were able to find the body, so now they know all of that was a lie. At a probable cause hearing in April, investigators testified that Bauer had sent View to stay with Vang because the child had behavioral issues. And so the weird thing about that is that the mother said that the boy had behavioral issues when she sent this boy to stay with her boyfriend who has behavioral issues. And I wonder, how the F does that make any sense when he is a career criminal and he's supposed to teach this boy what? Which is why initially I said the mother needs to be charged also, and now she's getting charged. So to the prosecutors or whoever, if y'all are listening to me, thank you. I appreciate it. All right, now, let's see. His remains were found last month on private property by a hunter, so he was dumped somewhere. In a criminal complaint against Bauer and Vang, investigators detailed several incidents of neglect and abuse, as well as a healing skull fracture that dates back to the time of his death. And I want y'all to remember, this boy is 3 years old, and he was hit so hard that he had a healing skull fracture. A child abuse pediatrician noted that the history provided by caregivers to law enforcement and messages to each other is consistent that this boy was tortured to death. Bauer faces up to 60 years in prison if convicted, and Vang could possibly get life in prison, which he absolutely deserves it. Let me see if I could show y'all, just so y'all know I am not trying to slander this man with the slanted eyes. He is a full-on baby beater, baby killer. Where is it at? Do I have it? It's in my old video. Why do I not have that? It's like a collage of mugshots. It's like 16 different mugshots. If I find it, I'll post it. Let me give you guys the fair usage and we'll just watch the news videos. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. For those watching right now, if y'all would do me a favor and leave a comment, hit the thumbs up also to share this video. If I find it, I'll stop the video and I'll show y'all real quick. But let's go. Let's take a look. Only 2 news videos.
It is with a heavy heart that I announce to you today those remains were identified as Elijah Vu.
And we begin with breaking news. The search for
Skipper?
3-year-old Elijah Vu.
Hold on, let's try it again.
Now to the legal landscape. Our legal analyst, attorney Dan Adams, joins us every Monday morning, breaking down the biggest cases happening across Wisconsin and the country. Good morning, Dan. First up, the mother of 3-year-old Elijah Vu and her boyfriend are returning to court today. Both are facing new charges in connection to the young boy's death. What happens next in this case?
Sure. Good morning, Mallory. Yeah, today is an initial appearance, which is the first time that
I'm going to screen share this so y'all can see it. I found one of them. This is not the best picture, but I'm going to show y'all. And he went by multiple different names too. So we're going to make this big on the screen so y'all can see it. Just know that all of these pictures are him. Every one of these are him. And this is the man that this woman sent her child to, a man who is a career, lifelong criminal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. At least 15 different mug shots. I know career criminals that don't even have that many goddamn mug shots.
Defendant seized the judge in their case. Last week, the criminal complaint alleging the homicide theories was filed. So they've been in the court system for another case for just child abuse. That case is now being replaced with this homicide case. They had bail set last week. Today will be a time when there's going to be a status on Jesse Vang's attorney. Right now, he does not have an attorney appointed to him. Of course, every American in the court system who's alleged to have committed a crime has the right to an attorney. If they can't afford one, they have one appointed to them. At this point, it looks like the public defender agency has not been able to find an attorney. Of course, it would be very hard to find an attorney willing to step up into this case, given the notoriety and the allegations. After an attorney is appointed and they have an initial appearance, they'll set the case for a preliminary hearing, where that's going to be a probable cause hearing where the allegations are going to be read out in open court. After that, of course, we're going to start getting into discovery and the actual meat of the case. So after 8 months of waiting, this case is set to actually start getting going this week.
Yeah, now that Vu's remains have been found, this really has changed this case. What will the state need to prove to find Vang and Bauer guilty of homicide?
Well, interesting enough, Vang and Bauer are charged under different theories. Bauer, the mom, is charged under a theory that her chronic neglect, that's failing to give shelter, food, and in this case, care to the child, resulted in death. That's one theory. Vang has a different theory the state is pursuing. They are saying that repeated physical acts of abuse to the child caused the death. And in fact, they have to prove 3 different physical acts of abuse to the child, one of which was the actual cause of death. And in this case, we know that there was repeated neglect and physical abuse to the child because Bauer and Vang documented that abuse on their cell phones and messages back and forth to each other. What we don't have, and what even the medical examiner has not been able to show, is what actual cause or what manner caused the death of the boy. We know the boy was in a situation where he was being abused. We know that Vang tried to cover up the eventual death of the boy.
And if you guys are watching right now, do me a favor and please click that thumbs up. We want to have at least 1 thumb up for everybody watching right now. So if y'all will help me, if you're listening, please do me a favor and please hit that thumbs up.
By getting rid of a suitcase where the boy's DNA was later found, but there's really a donut hole of evidence here of what was the actual cause of the boy's death. The state's going to use a circumstantial case here to say, well, we know the boy was being abused before. We know they tried to cover it up after. We can only surmise that the boy died because of an act of physical abuse in the home. So it's a little interesting here, but we'll see how it plays out going forward.
Yeah, and we will have updates on their court appearances later this afternoon.
Difficult time with the details in this complaint.
Right, during the hearing here, she did seem affected by those details when discussing the impact of Elijah's death, and his mother and her boyfriend still claim they don't know what happened to him. The report that a 3-year-old had wandered off on a February morning drew scores of volunteers to search for him. Even as night fell, there were troubling signs about missing Elijah Vu, such as a small shoe outside by a dumpster.
This was abuse that occurred over a long period of time, several months.
The police investigation revealed Elijah's mom, Katrina Bauer, left him at her boyfriend's apartment for days at a time to be disciplined. Elijah's remains were found 7 months later. Prosecutors now charging Jesse Vang with abusing the boy until he died and Bauer with chronic neglect, leading to his death. Both making their first court appearances Friday on the new charges that detail, quote, multiple types of maltreatment, including forced position holding, exposure to cold water showers, sleep deprivation, isolation, and terrorizing.
They are the most serious charges, which involve the death, and not only the death of another human being, of a young child, He's facing life imprisonment, which gives him an incentive to flee.
According to the criminal complaint, investigators can't say exactly how Elijah died, but photos on Bauer's phone show he had bruises, and the body showed a healing skull fracture. Detectives also found video showing Vang leaving an empty suitcase at a charity the day before the boy was reported missing. Elijah's DNA was found inside that suitcase.
These charges are extremely serious. And recognition of the death of this young child does need to be given.
A criminal complaint that was very difficult to read, Nick. The pair, they were already in jail on child abuse charges, but now that they're linked to his death, those bails were raised significantly.
Right, Vang's bail here in court today raised to $500,000. Bauer's bail at $400,000. They remain, as you mentioned, in custody here at the jail. If Vang is convicted, he faces a mandatory life sentence. Bauer is looking at upwards of 60 years.
So to conclude, I won't keep you guys too long with the details of this. I think, if I'm not mistaken, if you go back and watch the original video, I think that the boyfriend was actually trying to blame all of this on the mom. He wasn't taking any accountability from this at all. And you'd have to think, if that's his behavior and this child was always being left in his care, and this child had numerous signs of long-term abuse and torture, then it was either the mom or him. And I believe that the majority of it was him, and mom exacerbated it by continuing to keep delivering this boy to this man's care, knowing that something was going wrong. So again, I think they got this right. If mom gets 60 years, because she took her child, what I like to call on the AFC, to the thug zoo, and she let her son play with the thug lion, and the thug lion murdered and mauled her child, she needs just as much time in prison as he gets. So I think that they actually got this correct, and that needs to be the standard, so people understand that we need to go hard against people who hurt, murder, and abuse kids, period. And there just shouldn't be any leniency there, in my humble opinion. So to Elijah View, I'm glad that they found his body. R.I.P. to that baby, and to these two jerk-offs of alleged human beings, man. Like I said, she needs the whole 60 years. He needs the whole life sentence, and that should just be the end of it. But thank y'all for listening. Leave a comment in the comment section if you've been following the story, and let me know what you think. If we missed something, please let me know. Thank you.